You're listening to episode 278 of the Major Issues podcast. In it, we talk about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle story, The Last Ronin, go over the franchise, and talk about its future. The Major Issues podcast starts right now. Hey everybody out there in comic book land, my name is George Serrano, aka The Don, and if you're listening to this, you can only be here for one reason. That's a brand new episode of the Major Issues podcast, brought to you by ComicBookClique.com, and as always, I am never alone. Sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
How's it going, everybody? It's Jonathan Escudero, aka Yogi.
Yogi is back. And we do this with GT Rebirth, but I'm feeling like the Sharon Carter, it's been so long. Oh, it's been so long. I've been, we've been in opposite directions this entire time, but being able to come together and not only be able to come together, but to celebrate the 40th anniversary, 40 years, bro, older than both of us. The anniversary of the creation of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
Bananas.
That's freaking crazy. It's crazy that they're older than us, honestly. Or that they're so close in age and that we're almost 40.
Are they the most popular parody of all time? I think at this point they would have to be, right? Like they would. Oh, maybe Deadpool.
I think when it comes to comics or superheroes, it may be.
Nah, I don't think Deadpool's generated as much money as the Turtles.
The Ninja Turtles? Can we? Yeah, he's
like merch, bro. Merch. Like, yo,
Deadpool's a little fresh. In the public's mind compared to the Turtles.
100%. Yeah, they might be the most popular parody of all time, and I just remember growing up, they were always just a thing. Like you couldn't escape them. You would see costumes for Halloween. You would see video games. I had those Pez dispensers. Like anything you could put turtles on, book bags in school. Everyone knew about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I loved playing the arcade games. I loved playing any of the video games where you're surfing in the sewers and, oh, my toe, and all that. Absolutely. Can you remember your first time with the Turtles or your earliest memories with this franchise?
It was one of those things that I was like always peripherally aware of because, like you said, they were everywhere. So they were just like, even before I've ever watched a Ninja Turtle thing, I knew what they looked like because I'd seen them on advertisements or the bus or a magazine or somebody's book bag or, so yeah. I know a lot of people ask me, like, you didn't see the 80s show. Like, I didn't. Like, my first Ninja Turtle show was the 2003 one. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
That's all I know of Ninja Turtles. And from what I hear, that was like a good place to start. Like, that was pretty faithful to the comics, and they changed some things to be family friendly, but so maybe what I know is more than what I think I know, but that's all I know. That's all I really know. That and the movies, the first two movies.
The first two live action. You're talking about the Michael Bay's? Have you seen the Michael Bay's?
No, I haven't seen the more recent Turtle movies at all, actually.
I have no real pull, and there's no beef.
Yeah.
Like, if that's somebody's Turtles, that's cool. I like my I don't need them to be realistic or alien looking. Like,
yeah.
I like my my Turtles as they are.
Hashtag not my Turtles.
In actuality, this episode was penciled in to celebrate the, I want to say, 30th anniversary of that terrible third film where they go to Japan and time travel until I realized that the Turtles were actually created 40 years ago.
That's a funny way to get here.
Yeah, 100%. So that besides that third film, those two films, maybe it's nostalgia, but like how that's the best case scenario with that franchise, right? Like,
yeah.
How do you improve upon that? How do you improve, like, without unrealistic CGI, going to the point of not making things feel real or in the room. I feel like those two turtle films really did a lot to make the entire franchise feel more tangible. And it's hard even now when we have better technology for me to sink my teeth into the new turtle stuff, because it's like that to me seems peak. But again, it was of my time. How did you feel about those first two turtle films?
I actually rewatched them recently. I want to say maybe a year or two ago. I just remember I can't remember exactly what it is, because I know I liked one movie better than I did the other. I can't freaking remember which one it was. Which direction is it? Is it the first one that's a little darker, and then the second one has to be family friendly?
Yeah. The first one is the one where they jump them at their house.
Yeah.
And then they have to run to like the country to hide. And Splinter is crucified in chains on the gate and like bleeding out and like using his Force Ghost to talk to the turtles through the campfire. It's a very dark. And at one point in that fight, like I said, where they all got ambushed, Raphael gets knocked out and he doesn't wake up for weeks. They just move him with them to the country and then put him like in a bathtub. And there's and I think Leo is just, there's a famous picture of I think April drawing Leo at the the front door watching Raphael, hoping that his brother comes back to life. So yeah, it gets a bit the first one's a bit dark. The second one is Vanilla Ice. Go Ninja, go Ninja, go.
The second one, because I like them both. Don't get me wrong. I really like the first one a lot. And then the second one, you have things like having to use sausages as a weapon because they don't want us to use the Ninja Turtle weapons. It's like, all right, I understand the limitations, and I don't blame them. 100%. Compared to the first one, damn.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another thing. I mean, we never see these people get stabbed, even though they have swords and even size. We never see anyone get scratched or blood. Like, they're very strategic about how they use their weaponry. Love those first two films. I have this weird curse where the first film I see of multiple franchises in the 90s, I saw the second one first. And so that's the one that imprints on me. But the first Batman I saw was Batman Returns. The first Ninja Turtle movies I saw was Secret of the Ooze. The first Johnny Five movie I saw was Short Circuit 2. It just happens that goes that way with me. So instantly I fell in love with part two. Now, when I went back and saw part one, I'm like, this is dark. Like the children of New York, the orphans, basically the people who fall through the cracks are being manipulated by the foot to steal like car batteries and all this kind of, like, it was real dark stuff. But on the other side, with part two, I have babies. They're babies. Like, I'll never forget Shredder just being completely upset that he's done like this weird, like cursed, screwed up genetic experiment. And now he has these two baby-minded mutants, this big ass wolf and a turtle. And they think that he's the mom. Mama? Like that.
He's just mad that he has responsibility now.
Hey, it's hard, bro. It's hard, bro. It's 100% hard. Now, there's people who know you that will be listening to this episode, and there's also people who don't that will be listening to this episode, and you might be pissing off some of those people. But I'm gonna put you on the spot. Do you have a favorite turtle?
I do have a favorite turtle.
You're gonna piss off 75% of the audience.
Yeah.
That's mathematically, right? Like, you're gonna.
I would hope. I don't know what the Ninja Turtle fandom looks like, but I would hope there's like no inter civil wars, like,
right? Yeah, cross sections of the audience, anti Donatello fans out there. I think.
And I think this might not be a controversial choice at all. I feel like there's two turtles that a lot of people always gravitate towards you, and I gravitate towards one of them. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna pick an outlier. I'm gonna go with fucking with Mikey.
Yeah, I
He's
didn't think that was gonna be. I thought you were gonna say
he's
the two turtles people fight for are Leo and Ralph.
Ralph. I
Yeah,
like Mikey the most because he's a I like stoner caricatures. I like to see how far they go to do all the characteristics without giving them the actual stoner.
right, right, yeah.
Like giving them the actual stuff. Like I love Shaggy because of that. Like I love those characters.
What an interesting insight. So you're saying that Mikey is a 100%. You're saying Mikey is a closet almost, like not out and out.
He's a stoner turtle. If
that is crazy. I can dig it though. I can dig it. Did you always know it was Mikey?
Yeah, but that's because like I said, I come from the 2003 show. Mikey's always the guy to set up. He's the comic relief, right. And he's always the guy to set up the best lines and then they have like the one surprise episode where the comedian is actually really helpful, and it's like stuff like that really gets me. As a kid, it sticks with you.
Oh, so this comic we're about to talk about is about to kill you. But before we get there, did you feel when you saw the series and then went back to the live action films, was that portrayal faithful in your eyes of Mikey?
Well, it's weird to call it. I don't know if I ever had like a disconnect or anything. I didn't feel different, but I don't think my mind was trying to compare them because I know that this came first. So if anything, I should maybe
this is the standard. This is right.
Yeah. So I never had a real issue with it, and I thought he's pretty much the same pizza loving. Hey dudes, Mikey, like.
Yeah, mine is Donnie. Donnie's my turtle. I fuck with Donatello. Always been a Donatello fan. I fuck with the fact that he has a stick, and that's all he got. Big ass stick. Because when you were a kid and you went into the backyard, all you had is broomsticks and stuff. Like you don't really have weaponry that you can mess with. So I always dug the bow staff. That always had respect for me. He never had beef, and a friend of mine always picked Donnie in the arcade game. And it was really cool to watch the 90s movie because there's a sequence where, and this almost gets replicated in almost every other media or medium, where Raphael and Leo are fighting and Donnie and Mikey are just sitting in the back like, yo, so what kind of pizza you want? You know what I'm saying? Like, are we going to rent that movie or what? And like super chill. So it was always real easy for me to root for Donnie or Mikey in those situations because they never took anything serious. Ralph was a bit much for me. He was like, he got a bit Wolverine to the Cyclops of Leo for a second. But now as an adult, I completely understand the need for a Leo. It took me a while. I was not a fan of Leonardo.
Ralph is my second favorite turtle. But that's because I have a lot of anger issues.
Bro, I really dug their portrayals in TMNT, the actual CGI.
Yeah,
that was pretty good. I dug how they portrayed those two because they got into like that argument, and he was like fighting crime at night. He had like a Batman persona, and they got into it. My biggest regret is I feel like the most recent iteration of the Turtles have escaped me. There's a Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There was a 2012 series that I didn't really gravitate towards. To me, it was always Power Rangers neck and neck. And in my opinion, because of the lore of the Turtles, you can spend some time without them and not really miss a beat. Like once you get the origin and kind of what you remember of the franchise, it kind of stays that way. Which is why I felt like I didn't need to see the new Michael Bay films, right? Because it's like,
I think that the Turtles have a surprising. I don't want to say it's not like a deep, it's not like, oh my god, it's a deep lore, but I think they have a surprising tapestry, of stories, especially really recently, not maybe the last couple of years, like 3 to 4 years, IDW had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they did this run. Uh, I think it may have been 100 straight issues where they were just connecting all sorts of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles history and weaving together this sweet blanket. And it's like, wow, they do have a pretty freaking cool lore, don't they? I have to take the time to dig into this because it looks pretty interesting.
Even from the start characterizations of the characters, like that's something they expect kids to kind of gravitate towards. And you pull a 6, 7 year old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan to the side and you say, which one's the serious one and which one is the one to, and they'll know. Yeah. 100%, right?
They color coded too.
Yeah, that also helps. But like this is, you know, they could have made this uniform, and at one point it was, you know, they could have made this 2-dimensional, and as many things that do sell toys, at one point it was, but this almost compulsion to extend the lore, especially when it started off as this like silly parody thing. This, and I'm gonna make a confession here, right here, live on the Major Issues podcast. The story of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is my bar story. That's my. You want me to whip out something a bit impressive? You want me to say something a bit that's gonna be like, wow, really? It's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle thing, because they were created almost as a parody of the super serious Ronin, Frank Miller Daredevil, right? And so. For those who are uninitiated, and I'm almost certain in a previous TMNT podcast we talked about this, but it is alluded that the same chemical truck that blinded Matt Murdock dropped a canister that fell into the sewers in New York City, thus creating the Turtles. And while Daredevil has Stick as his mentor and who teaches him all about stuff, the Turtles have Splinter. As Daredevil fights the hand, the Turtles fight the foot. As Daredevil, fights and then becomes a kindred spirit with this weirdly skull-obsessed vigilante named Punisher, they end up linking up with the skull mask-wearing Casey Jones. And entertaining as I would whip that out, bro. You wouldn't imagine the gasps. There's a lot of people surprised about
even
that
their
connection.
Name, even the very concept is taken from like the popular comics of the time, like Teenage,
boom,
Titans,
astonish and it's like astonishing, like uncanny, new mutants or whatever. Teen Titans, it just threw all that stuff together.
It's great.
It's
crazy how something like that though can turn into like its own franchise
and make as much money as it did. And as we know, it got the animated series, and that's really what kicked off the whole merchandise machine. The video games, like I said, I've played them all, Turtles in Time. I'll sit there at a barcade now at my age and spend a lot of dollars trying to get through that thing. What did you think initially, as somebody who has traversed the ocean of comics that you have? What did you think of the idea of something like Last Ronin?
The minute I was still working at the shops when they announced it, and one of my friends, or I guess I don't know if he still likes me, but he was.
I was gonna say, like, we have to requalify him. We don't know.
He was a friend when I was working there, and he's a big Ninja Turtles fan, and he's like, "Come look at this." And he explained it to me, and I was like, holy shit, like that sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. And then we didn't, like, one of the big hooks was like, who's the turtle? Like, who's the one who got left
who is the
behind?
Turtle?
So it was really cool. I was looking forward to this way before it came out. I'm glad we finally got to get to it.
Yeah. I feel like it's equal parts Old Man Logan and Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, I actually didn't know how. Like, I thought just from the concept, it sounded like okay, like a Dark Knight Returns esque story, but I didn't know just how much influence it was going to take. Like some of it, some
You
of the
think
stuff is
you
like,
think that's deliberate,
well,
or has that just become the standard when it comes to
well,
revisiting older heroes coming back? You know, in a
with,
in a weird future that we don't understand, kind of stuff.
with Eastman specifically, I think it's on purpose because Frank Miller is one of his like influences.
Oh, what we're talking about? We just talked about the birth of the turtles, right? Like that.
Yeah,
That was a legitimate
yeah.
parody of yeah. Yeah.
And I think they absolutely looked right at the Dark Knight Returns for the idea, like because from what I've been able to gather, this concept was thought up a long time ago, right?
The
The concept
concept
for this
initially of
story for the Last Ronin would have been
yeah,
come
because
up with back in the 80s.
eventually they gave up their they sold
Yeah,
outright the turtles.
yeah.
You know, that's what's unique about this story. It's literally from the actual creators.
It's the first time together in decades.
Quite some time. So yeah, their ability to be able to come back together for this meant, like you said, this was something that they had already decided, already had in their heads, and it's got to be kind of weird, right? Want to relinquish control over something that you've created and watch it become this juggernaut, like literally, like lunchboxes, scooters, you know, video games, fidget spinners, all of it, and then decide like, well, can we tell the story that we've always wanted to tell? Or if anyone's going to get to this ending, right, it's going to be us. Like if anyone's going to tell this story, it's going to be us. I agree with you. There's definite Dark Knight Returns vibes. Like I said, Old Man Logan vibes. What do you think sort of separates this from that Old Man Logan sort of trope that I feel like has kind of befallen comic books as they tend to look for new avenues and new stories to tell with characters?
Well, I think the thing that sets it apart is that it wasn't trying to separate itself at all. Like it just leaned all the way in. Like I don't know
Yeah.
how much of modern comics Kevin Eastman is actually reading. Like I think, and it felt like it was ripped right out of the time they conceptualized it, like from the dialogue to the art, just to the actual story they were telling. It's like it's like it walked right out of 1985. I can't even consider the things that came in between because it legitimately feels like they wrote it back then.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I really do like how you go through that first issue and you really don't know who you're following. It really could be anyone.
Yeah.
They have seemingly gone through some things. They, you know, while they're able to joke, it gives you that Batman-esque inner monologue, right? When you're following four turtles, you tend not to be completely invested in one, right? And now we have one and you're in his head and there's nothing giving away who it could be at this moment. Did you have any kind of inclination? Were you trying to suss the clues? Did you have your own bet on who it could have been at the time?
Yeah, we kind of thought it might we thought it would be a good story if it was Michelangelo.
Yeah.
Just because of how like his light character going through such a dark. Yeah, my mic sounds like shit right now, and I don't know why.
No, I think you sound good.
It just his character going through such a dark situation seemed like something really interesting, and that's kind of what we were rooting for. If anything, that's a good way to put it. We were rooting for it to be Mikey.
And the thing is, like you said, it's already a dark turn that the party dude is the last surviving member of his family. An even darker turn to have him actively see his siblings and be able to talk to them. How did you feel about that development?
That was messed up. I like that they never got around to like using the colors until the almost throughout the whole story. I mean, and when they did use it, it was meaningful. But like because originally, they didn't have any colors when
Right.
Eastman and I can't pronounce his fucking name.
Layered? Layered.
Layered.
I think it's layered. I don't know. Could be completely wrong.
Yeah, it was just the black. It was just the black bandanas. I thought that was a cool homage to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really went back to those art styles whenever they went to a flashback.
Oh, that was so sick. It would
April
be Kevin Eastman.
Yeah.
Whenever they did a flashback, it would be Kevin Eastman, but then sometimes the flashbacks would have a flashback in it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. And they just bounce back and forth. I'm like, okay, wait, hold on. Who's telling what's going on? Deathly serious. Blood and gore.
Yeah.
Galore. Beheadings. Possibly my favorite moment was watching Splinters. Splinter go against the army, the Foot Clan.
Yeah.
And just behead a bunch of people. I did not expect this to be as serious as it was. I did not expect to see an April O'Neil who is a quadriplegic.
She's missing limbs.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I did not expect them to deal with the fact that Mikey's dealing with survivor's guilt. We have an April O'Neil, like we supposed to talk about, no Casey Jones, but their daughter is not only in this book, but she is a mutant.
She is a mutant, just like the turtles. Apparently, they just got mutated from hanging around mutant nuclear turtles. Who would have thought?
They went to the Peter Parker school of what is it, the last rain or whatever. Just around these radioactive people, bro. It just don't do it. Don't do it. Were you super into turtle comics? Have you dabbled at all in the story they told there?
I never knew where to start until recently, where they just gave me like, oh, you can start right here at number 1.
Right.
And then, they got so popular that I was never able to go and buy them from number 1. So I would have to find them online and read them that way. And eventually I do plan on reading just this run at least. And if anything else entices me, I'll go backwards. But no, I haven't really gotten to.
Do you think that this book is going to be the almost entryway for a bunch of people trying to break into this sort of just the lore in general with the turtles?
I think
there's a game, right? There's a game being greenlit.
I would turn this into anything and everything. I would do a movie. I would do cartoons.
Nah, a movie would break my heart, bro. But you gotta do it in the suits. You gotta do it in the suits. I don't give a fuck about CGI. You gotta throw all that out of here. Get all the scientists out of here.
It's the same 90s suit, yeah, but the same story. 90s all the same
suits, man.
This is where we need someone like Zack Snyder to overdo it.
100%. But still the suits. Like I said, slow motion.
With the same rubber suit. Just don't fucking...
Oh, that
do your
sounds
thing.
So damn good.
Do your thing, Snyder. Do your thing.
That sounds... Okay. What do you think is one of the most cinematic moments in this 5-issue run? What would you say is a moment that just serves to be seen in a cinema?
The scene
besides the ending. Don't give the ending away yet.
Not that.
That's just pitch perfect. But
there's a scene where Master Splinter realizes that they've been betrayed by the planet, and he's just like instantly chops off 3 heads, like
real quick.
They were just messengers, but no, off with all 3 of your heads. I need to see that.
And then I think Donnie's like, it's Oroku. We shouldn't have trusted them. And he goes, if you think I would have brought this weapon if I trusted them, what you thought this was? We out here. Bro, jaw on the ground as I watch Michelangelo almost commit ritualistic suicide in issue 1.
Oh,
Did you
man.
catch that?
That
Like
was
he was.
wild. I caught it immediately because like I said, I was not expecting this to have so much of the Dark Knight Returns in it. Like we're almost beat for beat sometimes. Like we start the story with
He spent a lot of times in the sewers too.
Yeah, we're 10 to 15 years removed from a tragic incident that caused the loss of important parts of the family, if not the whole family. And now
there's an underground resistance.
There's an underground resistance, and you got a main character who's far removed and wants to die.
Every turn, please kill me.
They get brought back in by a girl version of a former sidekick, and I was just like, we're really going there. Okay.
Yeah, you really got to carry Kelly in this.
Holy shit.
Full on. Yeah, I saw that moment, right? Guy's about to commit suicide. I'm like, this is absolutely crazy. Get saved by somebody. Later on when we go through, and I think that the inciting incident is a bit, like, I love that it's not like overly complicated. It's like Baxter Stockman was like, I'm just going to blow up this building. You guys are all in it, so screw it. I'm just going to blow the whole thing up. And he did, and then we had the other inciting incident in Japan. But I love that they didn't make that overly complicated. I think these things are almost better when every avenue is not explored. But I also think that's done on purpose so that they could explore those avenues at a later date for money.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe we can tell another story here. But I do think we got right to the point with everything in the story, which is really cool. Like, we just got right to things. How did this happen? This is how it happened. All right, moving on.
Each one of these issues is extra stuffed with content, I would say. But I feel like even through all of it, it has a pretty simplistic story. Watching Michelangelo come back, we find out, because like I said, jumps around through time, that there was supposed to be a truce between their clan and Shredder's clan. This would be Shredder's grandson, I believe. Yeah. That's who they're fighting in this, man named Oroku Hiroto. And it's basically both an ambush in Japan and in New York. And they believe to have taken out the turtles entirely, but Michelangelo is the last surviving one. He goes to Japan to try to warn his family members, find out that they have succumbed also, even though they didn't show Splinter's body. So there's a bit of me. It's like, that feels like some sequel bait stuff.
They didn't show us Splinter's body, but I felt like that was one of those things where it's like, we're meant to.
Is it supposed to be more? Was that supposed to be classy?
Yeah, like his
classy. Yeah,
like the arrows are sticking out at the bottom of the page. It's his rat body.
That rat bastard.
I think that we failed to mention too that part of the reason why they were so outgunned is because Ralph finally he kind of answered for his hot-headedness.
Yeah. We saw a more subdued Ralph. But then they end up basically, this is when they end up telling Casey and April about all this, right? Because they initially thought all this was sweet, that they had this truce with the Foot Clan and everything was going to be what it was. There had been so much bloodshed between those two. They had even dealt with Shredder's daughter Karai, which I didn't even know was a thing. I think most modern Turtle fans know. Was that somebody introduced in the 2003 or somebody who was even showcased in that show that you watched?
I vaguely remember this character, so I want to say probably, because I don't have anywhere else where I would have gotten them from. But yeah, no, I was going to say, his
daughter.
I think Ralph got taken. I think I don't want to say he took himself out, but he got taken out like right before they were offered the truce.
Yeah,
I think it's the death, because they say
that underwater fight, bro, was rough.
Yeah, basically, that was sick. I was like,
what a way
to go.
Oh, Damn. I was like, I'm not even mad. Like, you guys, you got it. Um, it's it's so weird because, like I said again, I had never thought that the Turtles could get to this level of seriousness. But nothing felt gratuitous. Nothing felt, edgy for edgy's sake. This felt like the trajectory this franchise would have taken if it grew up with its fan base.
Yeah.
Do you think there's room for this, or are they best served primarily serving children and selling merchandise, which we've seen is not only their primary function, but possibly their best use?
I think there's room for both. I think there's always room for both. I think in this world full of nostalgia, we need to be careful about like there's this balance, right, between rebooting something for new viewers and trying to keep the old ones interested. And I feel like a lot of times they fail miserably.
Yeah.
I think
trying to find that balance.
You need to stop trying to find that balance. Serve one fucking section of the fan base with their thing, serve the other one with their thing. You can have both. Like there can be the Nickelodeon Ninja Turtle show, and there can be a gritty, Netflix whatever Turtles thing.
Yeah, I think this game is going to put a lot of people onto this story in general. I can't wait. I really would like to play it. I think that would be pretty badass.
I kind of just want them to animate it.
Yeah,
I would love to just watch this.
CGI or
no, God, no, because you lose a lot of the what's the word for it? I don't know. I don't have the word right now. The aesthetic, that's a good word for it, especially
I think that word is a cover all for most parts, so I like to throw it out there sometimes. What's the aesthetic? Oh yeah. That.
It's provocative. I don't know what it means.
Yes, that's all it is. Oh man. I think this thing has the Neo Tokyo aesthetic. Do you remember when you first was like, oh, you started getting that Dark Knight Returns vibes?
I started getting Dark Knight Returns vibes. I'm almost immediately.
Really?
It was something about the way that it was written, just the inner dialogue, just the way it was going, so the way the story was going, that I immediately thought, Dark Knight Returns. When I get to the end and I read the forward and I see, thanks to Frank Miller and Jack Kirby, and then I see there's a variant cover that's a direct homage to the Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
And by Kevin Eastman. I'm like, oh, okay. So I was not off at all. So now I don't have to look for it. I can just enjoy it. I'm just like, oh, this is coincidence. No, it was on purpose. It's fine.
In your opinion, 5 issues, right?
Yeah.
Was it a smart move, or could they have held out on the identity of the original Turtle, or the Turtle of this franchise?
I think that I don't think they ever meant for it to be a mystery. I think they just kind of wanted
it was a mystery for solicitation.
Just that
it was going to be a mystery for the story.
Yeah, like who is this book going to be about? But as soon as you open it, a couple pages in, you find out.
Right, yeah.
Okay, I'm okay with that. I liked it the way they revealed everything.
Yeah, I love that. Roll Neo of all people. It's like,
I looked it up. She was. Who are you talking to? Shredder's adopted daughter absolutely was in the show that I watched. Yeah.
Was she the big bad?
In the finale. Like,
interesting.
The show goes for 7 seasons and then it ends with a movie.
That's to say that at least up until this point, she had been known for 20 years, at the very least.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, before then when she was introduced, but yeah, I guess Karai, was a mainstay, which is pretty interesting. I wonder how far this guy comes back.
I don't think this guy goes. This movie. This movie is pretty cool.
There's a movie based on your series?
Well, it's a finale episode to the series, but it's also a television film where they actually end up meeting the 1987 Ninja Turtles.
I've heard of this. It's more than that. I think it's like four different versions. Then they meet the 80s. I think they meet the 80s.
Yeah,
Cartoon Turtles. They meet the comic. Everyone rocking the same bandana turtles, and I can't remember what the other one was.
It's called Turtles Forever.
I feel like it's like a Power Rangers thing. That was me and my homie used to always be Power Rangers and the Turtles. But yeah, man, absolutely.
Yeah.
Blood in your last Ronin game, blood in your last Ronin animated movie.
Yeah. I don't think you can tell the story censored. I think it has to be, because especially with the story being about Mikey, right?
Yeah,
taking that character from what most people know him as and bringing him to this dark, gritty, does what he needs to character is not going to work. It'll be a joke if you censor it. It'll still just be a parody. You need to drive that point home. You
need to have that juxtaposition between what we know him for and the reality of what he now has to do.
Yeah.
And I 100% agree with you. I was a bit shocked by it. Like I said, when it gets to the point where the guy's going to commit ritualistic suicide, and you find out that it's Mikey, all of that real serious, real quick. PTSD to the point that he's talking to his dead brothers, and they're arguing with him and he's arguing with himself. It's all pretty rough stuff. It's not stuff that you're used to dealing with when it comes to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think not only will this make a pretty damn good, like I said, video game, I think it'd make a good movie. I wonder if the world is ready for it, given everything. But yeah, man, like when you look at what the Turtles have always been, they seem to not be able to reinvent the wheel. We have Mutant Mayhem on the cusp, right? Seth Rogen.
Is that what it's called? I didn't realize. It's animated, right?
Yeah. Let me put it up. But I think it's Mutant Mayhem. Yeah, it's animated. May 2023. Oh. No, what the hell? That's it. That said March. I was like, it's April. August 4th. In Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, after years of being sheltered from the human world, the Turtle brothers set out to win the hearts of New Yorkers and be accepted as normal teenagers through heroic acts. Their new friend, April O'Neil, helps them take on mysterious crime syndicate, but they soon get in over their heads when an army of mutants is unleashed upon them.
It sounds pretty normal. I mean, the cast is pretty cool. You got Jackie Chan as Master Splinter, so that's something.
John Cena's in it. Post Malone is in it. Ice Cube is in it. Paul Rudd is in it. Maya Rudolph's in it. Like I said, Seth Rogen already. Giancarlo Esposito.
It's supposed to be like this 2D CGI animation, so we'll see. We'll see how it looks. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm at least open to it. Animation is a great direction to head in instead of the live action shit they've been getting us.
What do you think of New Shredder?
Is that what they call it?
No, that's what I'm calling.
Oh my god.
That's what I'm calling Liquid Metal Shredder in this. Hiroto, like his grandfather, has a outfit similar, but it's all liquid metal, like the T. Gosh,
yeah,
not the one.
You want 9,000 or I forgot the fuck.
Yeah,
1900.
Bro, they're gonna come for us now. That's what's happening. The 8,000, the T8000 is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Isn't
Damn it, I was close. I said 9,000.
No, you might be right because I said 8,000. I don't think that's it. The T9000 is
not real.
Not real. It didn't come up anything. Anyway, put your pens down. We're talking about something else. We're talking about liquid metal. Hiroto. That's what we're talking about. This guy, is he on drugs? Like at one point, he's like on a scaffold, just talking to himself, like in a hoodie.
He's meant to be damaged.
They mentally damaged. The official Turtlepedia for this character lists him as the bastard son. They wrote that word, the bastard son of Karai. So not necessarily someone that she treasured. And he even says to himself, he keeps her dead body to motivate him. Again, not your typical Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle motivation or, you know, your story there. But yeah, keeps his brother there out of spite. I thought it was pretty interesting to have this turtle, and I guess it's possibly even a creative crutch to have the other turtles around. But I thought it was pretty interesting to have him to fight, you know, eternally with himself and seeing those other turtles. What did you think about that?
I think it was a great way to keep them in the story and to keep their voice around. Because you know, otherwise you just won't see them at all. You know, unless they're dying, which is horrible.
I feel like in a lot of ways, Casey's daughter serves as a surrogate audience member.
Yeah.
What did you think of the idea in this 5-issue series of putting a spotlight on how proficient the turtles actually are when it comes to fighting? Because I feel like this was like pre-laid out here. Like, you have no idea. Like, they've been doing this not only forever, but had the very best teacher.
I think they were just really leaning into the Ronin part of it. Like, they really wanted to give some gravitas to the idea that it's a clan feud between the two families, and they've been doing this for generations, and they've been trained all their life to fight the same war. You know, that's all very Japanese. I love it. Yeah,
definitely part of the culture. It's almost a shame. Like, there was a glimmer of Splinter actually considering this truce to be something worth a damn. You know, like, maybe he's tired of all the bloodshed. Maybe he can see the benefit of putting our swords down for an instant, and then, you know, to fast forward, and it's almost heartbreaking to watch. Is it Ralph that comes in to tell them about the ambush?
Well, no, they get ambushed, but it was a regular ambush. Right?
Yeah.
They were just in the midst
in the streets. Coming out of the they literally were on their way to April's, I think,
to just go
have dinner, and they got jumped.
Oh shit, it's wartime, and they were like, oh fuck. And this is where Ralph decides, like, I can't fucking take this anymore. They really hurt my father. But you know, he goes out on his own, gets out a bunch of feet people.
He took out, no, I will say this, he took out a lot of the foots before he got the feet.
It was a great scene. He goes out there, he gets fucking arrows everywhere. He's by himself. He's taking out dozens and dozens of Foot Clan, and then he has one final fight with Shredder's daughter. And
she takes him out underwater.
He stabs her in the back, but she stabs him under the fucking throat. And I'm not sure if she doesn't live. She goes into a coma.
Yeah.
And she stays in a coma until the end of her life.
So Hiroto it was Stockman that basically cleared that road for Hiroto.
Yeah.
After the fact.
After that is when they're offered the truce, because I guess Hiroto takes over from his mother.
Yes.
And he offers a truce, and they think, well, it's a new one. Let's see.
Oh, yeah, because he literally gets, like, baptized or christened or whatever the heck in that moment.
And then Stockman,
the new head of it all.
And I didn't realize they were working together until they were working together in the future. And I realized that it was a whole thing, like a whole plan.
I am aware, but I am not the most knowledgeable about Mr. Baxter Stockman. I remember him being a fly. Am I wrong about this?
I didn't recognize him while I was reading, but that's because it's been so long since I even saw the one show that I did watch. And I know a lot of people are like, well, why the hell did you put this guy on that show? And I'm sorry.
So, according to Turtlepedia, Baxter Stockman is a brilliant but mad scientist, often allied with the Shredder and or Krang. In almost every version, he is depicted as the creator of the Mousers. I knew that. I knew the Mousers from the video game, like these little bastards. And the anime of the Ninja Turtles. In most incarnations, he is forced into an alternate form. He is either converted into a disembodied brain in a cyborg or mutated into a fly. I knew him as a fly. You saw him as a brain?
I saw him as a robot thing. Yeah.
Interesting.
Robot creature. He was a regular black guy scientist for a long time.
You know who played him in the Michael Bay movie?
Who?
Tyler Perry.
Did they turn him into a cyborg?
I don't know. I'm very interested in seeing what happened at the end of that movie to Tyler Perry.
Interesting. Very interesting.
So if you would have waited out to the 2012 series, he was a fly in that.
Yeah, I didn't get to see that one.
But in 2003, you said he was a robot, huh?
He was a robot. It was just his head.
So he was he's like the brain machine. From the...
Well, he wasn't a brain. He had a head, like a normal head and like an eye patch thing. And it was like in a bubble. And then it was just like a robot. Giant robot body.
I think I'm seeing it now. It's almost like a Megazord. Yeah. But what is his neck plugged into? It's like
they just stuck it.
Yeah, he has a flat top, a monocle, seemingly, and then this big robot body.
I think it comes out. I think the head part comes out like a spider.
They took that from something though, didn't they? That sounds weird.
I'm sure they did.
And then sometimes it's a projection, or sometimes he projects his head. Is that a thing? I'm seeing right now from pictures.
I actually don't remember that one.
Gosh, what is this? Oh, Mutant Mayhem. I think Mutant Mayhem is going to be good. Can anything be bad worse than that third film?
Yeah, I mean. We can get there.
I haven't seen the Michael Bay ones, right? So I guess, but I heard those made hell of money though.
I feel like if they were very successful, then we wouldn't be waiting for another reboot right now. But
so apparently, the reason why they went to Japan and that was because they were aiming at a Japanese market. Capitalism.
What if we took the turtles to Japan?
Capitalism.
That'll get them.
So, in 2000, Kevin Eastman sold his shares of the Turtle franchise to Laird in 2000. In 2003, 4Kids Entertainment launched a new animated series, the one you were talking about, which ran for 7 seasons, concluding with a television film, Turtles Forever, in 2009. Laird had a role in the production, creating a closer adaptation to the original comic. So you have seen the most faithful version of the Ninja Turtles.
Nice.
Possibly ever. That's gotta be pretty fantastic.
Nice. I need to rewatch that.
Check that out. In 2009, it was announced that Laird has sold the franchise to Viacom.
God damn.
He said he had tired of working on Turtles. I am no longer the guy who carries his sketchbook around with him and draws in it every chance he gets. In August 2011, 2 years later, IDW Publishing launched a new Turtles comic series with Eastman as co-writer and illustrator.
That's the one.
Yeah. So this is about 12 years ago. A third animated series premiered in September of 2012 on Nickelodeon and ran for 5 seasons before ending in 2017. A fourth live-action Turtles film produced by Platinum Dunes, Nickelodeon Movies, and Paramount Pictures, directed by Jonathan Lesbin and produced by Michael Bay, was released in 2014. Okay, so that all tracks. Like literally 2 years after he sold it, they're like, yeah, we're gonna do a movie. It received negative reviews, but was a box office success. I guess you can only pray for something like that. Huh? Out of the Shadows had a budget of 135 million and made 245 million. So probably just made exactly what it had. No. So yeah, we're at reboot season with them. Now you got a fork in the road. If you were to make a Turtles anything, obviously there's only really 2 roads to go. Do you go live action, or is it better CGI? Or animated, I guess that's what I want to say.
I'd say you've already gone to the well many, many, many times in live action, and most recently you failed. So dipping into the animated, especially now where the people who grew up watching Turtles are like the moviegoers who pay money, you might want to give them something a little familiar. Give them the old 2D razzle dazzle.
The razzle, I love that phrase. Give them the old razzle dazzle, because we are so easily placated with a lot of this stuff. I think the reason why the Turtles span the test of time is because they've found a way that if you want to get into the lore, there are depths, but it always goes back to the regular formula.
Yeah.
So that if you ever miss an episode or several movies or an entire decade of a comic series, like me, you can come back into the Turtles and still kind of get what they're going for here.
Yeah, I think most shows that are going to air on Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network, they're almost mandated. Like, you have to pull back on your overarching stories. You still have to keep it episodic.
Did you notice the advertisements for Jenica in this?
I didn't get to read the
little story,
the release ones. I only got to read the trade paperback.
How do you feel about Jenica? Or should I more ask you, how did you feel about Venus de Milo in the live action?
Thankfully, Jenica wasn't that. Like, Jenica was a serious entry into the series. Respectable.
So you're not a fan of Venus de Milo? Should I let her know? Is baby blue not a appropriate turtle color?
You just don't let her know, and it's better off that way. No,
bro, they braided her her bandana.
Jenica was another character I heard of as she was being debuted, because you know how that goes. It becomes a headline on
but yeah, it becomes complain. Before people even know what it is told to you what people think it's going to be. And you gotta decide right then and there how you feel about it.
I was just like, it's part of this acclaimed Turtles run of comics where fucking Kevin Eastman is involved in the storytelling. Like, how much more authentic does it get than that? Like, who am I to have an issue with that? I haven't even read enough Turtles to be like, ew, a girl one. Like,
yeah.
Like, and to see where it's coming from.
This is what breaks my suspension of disbelief. Not the 5 foot tall rat in the kimono that's teaching them.
Not the actual Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
But a girl one. That's where I draw the line.
They don't have girl ninjas. Oh, ridiculous. Boy. Yeah, I ain't got no problem with it. And she wears yellow. It's like, it's not bad.
This is told, The Last Ronin, as a revenge story. And as any revenge story, there really is one end, right? You want to see this person finally get the one person that has put them through all this, trial and tribulation and trauma. And for Mikey, there's almost a laser focus. What is it? No more Orokus. Orokos. Am I saying that right? They don't want none of them living. Like that's what has been sworn by his clan, and because he feels like his family has been disgraced by what's been put on them by this other clan, that he just has this laser focus towards this, that seemingly at many points he's even willing to put his own health in front of. What do you think is the most tragic part about Mikey's story here in this? Knowing he went, like I said, to Japan to try to prevent this, knowing that he sat with other, skilled ninjas and felt like he didn't even belong because they were a family and he didn't have his.
And the most tragic part is that the loss of his family was so great that he was never able to accept that he found family again. Like, he had been without for so long, and then he finally did find family again, and then it was established that it's like it's even more than just the friends you choose family type thing. Like, they have a chemical genetic bond now.
Yeah,
that's real family,
right?
It's just a shame that he wasn't able to sit down and appreciate that and bask in it, even though he did appreciate it. I say, because they would show glimpses of him just being like, wow, this Casey is amazing. Like,
I guess that's where I got a little bit of the Dark Knight Returns, Old Man Logan, of like, I can. This is a kamikaze mission for me, but don't you fucking, like, this is ain't for you.
Don't
like, this
waste your life.
Mission. Yeah. Like, and it's like, well, you're certainly like headstrong about fucking killing yourself in this instance.
There's a moment where he steals Casey's bike before we know who she is. And it just kind of reminds me of like seeing Carrie Kelly in the news stories about the mutants, or having to deal with the mutants before we knew who she was or whatever. Except that Casey is a fucking mutant,
right?
In a literal sense, and in the comparison to the Dark Knight Returns or whatever. But
right,
yeah. And then there's that scene where they decide that Michael's gonna be her sensei, and she hugs him.
Right.
And that took me to the freaking
after he whooped her ass.
Yeah.
Threw her halfway across the room and shit.
That weird scene in the cave where Carrie hugs Bruce, and I'm like, but I'm sure he's supposed to be naked. No.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, he basically is, right?
That was Mike is a turtle. He's got a shell covering his turtleness.
You better hope. That's what I got to say about that. With you knowing that, with you knowing the cliche of revenge stories and all that kind of way, with you even doing the math and realizing there was only one way this can go, how did you feel about Mikey getting his revenge, being able to take out Hiroto in the end, but ultimately succumbing to his injuries and passing away?
It's one of those things where, like, the story has to end that way, and if it doesn't, it's not as good. It's wrong. Like, you can say it's a cliche or a trope or whatever. Like, why do we have to follow the trope? Well, why do we put certain ingredients in a sandwich? Because we know we like the way it tastes.
Could you imagine? And bro, I can see it. Both me and you run pages that deal with comments and stuff like that. We're gonna get to a point. It's like, oh, you put milk with your cereal? That's so cliche.
Yeah, right. God, that's such a trope, such a breakfast trope.
Wow.
You're like,
bacon, egg, and cheese? What a trope.
Watch this. I'm eating a fucking cheeseburger for breakfast. I'm subverting.
I'm dipping my cheeseburger in milk. You can't beat this. Bro, I can see it, man. The hipsters, they're gonna come out.
Ketchup in my salami and cheese. I'm subverting the idea that I should enjoy this sandwich.
It's like, no, 100%. Like you said, some things are just right. The reason why these stories follow this narrative is because you are this goes back to Kill Bill for me. That's my hallmark, even though obviously there's bigger and brighter ones, but the easy one for me to go to is that one, because you get introduced to your protagonist, you get shown a very terrible thing that's happened to them, like even worse than normal. You know, something that gets you so hot that you're like, yeah, everyone deserves to die. Like, you know, you're good, kill them all. John Wick, right?
Oh yeah.
Literally, this is how this starts. It's like you get it's a revenge story. You get shown how your protagonist was outwardly disrespected in the absolute worst way, and then you ride with them, ultimately knowing that the reason why they're on this journey is because nothing in regular life is there to satisfy them anymore. They have no regular life. There is no regular life. This is their life now. The pursuit of this, the satisfaction or vague concept of satisfaction of getting this revenge, right?
Stories like this, revenge stories like this one, the reason they all come to that same natural conclusion is because they're meant to be cautionary tales. Like there's a moral to each and every single one of these stories, and that is that you cannot let vengeance consume you, otherwise it will consume you. You will die.
Right.
You will die. There is no other end, because where does it end? Where does revenge end?
100%.
It doesn't end.
Well, how do you make a whole? You know, what in your opinion is whole? And you know,
I was gonna say I like it. It made me think of fucking Attack on Titan. It's the same concept, but told over a much larger overarching thing. But it's the same inciting incident that leads to the same person being consumed by vengeance, and you know, the same natural conclusion that has to happen. It's fucking...
well, not to get too existential here, even though I love breaking down these themes and stuff when it comes to podcasts. But then, like, do you not see any justification in chasing down?
It's justified. It's always justified. That's the
kicker, right? That's the kick in the.
That's what makes it
the kick in the turtles.
That you're right. That you're absolutely right. Right. There's nothing in this world. There's nobody in this world who can tell you you're wrong. Right. That's right. What makes it. Now it's up to you. Like, it's up to you to decide when is enough. You have to let go. You have to move on for yourself, for nobody else. Like, just for you. You have to be able to do that. And that's not easy. That's why people would rather get consumed by vengeance, because it's easier.
So one track mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think of you for Vendetta too, right? Like, knowing you're going out and it's going to be what it's going to be. Like, your mission is bigger than what it is in this instance. And it's tragic because he carries around the book that Splinter would write all his teachings and lessons and learnings in, and the back of it, I believe it just said "No peace," N-O.
But they told us too. They told us very early. They told us early he was willing to go early on, like very soon after he lost his entire family. He was willing to die.
He tried to die.
He couldn't.
he said he like laid down on the floor, like he went and just like did that, like in hopes that he would eventually die. But his mutation, which is another thing, I don't remember them ever talking about their mutation this much.
No,
ever, and it totally makes sense that they would, but I don't ever remember it being this integral to the plot. Like, oh, why are you so strong? My mutation. Why did you heal from that? Oh, my mutation. Why did you not die when you just laid there on the ground? Oh, my mutation. Why does this person have powers now? Oh, they're around us and we were mutated. It makes fucking total sense now, but it's something I feel like, is it just a case of, I can't even say a new writer. It's the originators.
Yeah.
Figuring out like, oh, we have another avenue.
I think it's probably one of those things where I bet if you go back to like old Eastman comics, he probably established something like this already. But the problem is that we only ever see the adaptations. You know, we only ever see the kind of cartoon or the ones that are toned down even. You know, to something like a mutation, like a constant mutation. We don't want to deal with that. Yeah.
You're right 100%. It makes me sad sometimes that there might be people in this world who only know Batman and Superman for their adaptations, right?
Yeah.
Like when you consider the vast stories that have been told that influence those things.
Yeah.
You're right 100%. The reason why these characters transcend is because they're able to be adapted in video games, in movies, animation, all that kind of stuff. Because again, that's how I was introduced to them. I knew about the toys, I knew about the cartoon, and I knew about those 90s series. It's easy to fall into the hole of just like only having that surface level knowledge, because when done right, those things can inform, in my opinion, right? When they're like, you saw the 2003 series, and if the co-creator was on it, then you did learn about the turtle lore through the series.
I kind of did another reason I was so excited to read this for this episode is because I only have that surface level knowledge, and it's like I that doesn't happen often anymore. So like,
you're right.
I'm happy to just read something that I can enjoy without being all critical of how they handle things. Or I'm just like, that was a fun ride. You know, who knows? 3 years from now, I might come back after reading 1,000 issues of Ninja Turtles and be like, you know what? This was hot garbage. Did you see how they gave April a missing left hand instead of a right one? Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. There was a part of me that was a bit afraid that I'd rub up against something I didn't know or wouldn't get. I wonder how strategic it was. I wouldn't know without reading their run, right?
Yeah.
Like how often are they able to, stick to the status quo, but be able to ramp up? Because I think a lot of successful series, shows, even movie franchises are able to stick to the status quo, just be able to occasionally ramp up the stakes on occasion. And if this is just an example of that, then maybe the lore never gets, like ocean deep, but there are puddles that are a bit deeper than most.
It works better when you try not to give context to every single thing.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
If you just give the context to the...
Why does he have one red shoe? Oh, that's from issue, whatever. Yeah,
it's like you either know it or you don't, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like... I think of The Mandalorian. People really got attached to it who'd never seen Star Wars before because they didn't give context to any extra people who came in. If anybody came in, they were just part of the episode and they served their purpose in this story and you moved on. And if you felt left out, it's because someone next to you was losing their shit. You don't know why.
I feel like this is the part in Iron Man 2 where he creates a new element. I feel like we're stumbling upon something. You can't just have the full enjoyment of the series be based on recognition of things. The story just has to be good. Recognition of things, like literally like recognizing something in a scene or a phrase or a callback, etc. and so forth, should be the icing on the cake instead of the whole meal. Because your entire meal is felt with like, I remember that. I've seen that before. That's from, and from those who've never, then they never get full. They watch it and it's an empty sandwich, it's an empty experience. And this book could have been that. This book could have been 10, 20, 30, like I said, 40 years of lore mixed and matched. And, don't you remember in issue 30 when this happened? Like, this is totally why we've come back to this. They didn't go that way. Do you think that they missed something by not having Shredder in this? Like, Shredder, I feel like, is a pretty, like Batman Joker kind of thing. And we often talk about, even in jest, how frequently Joker has to come back to placate, right? People's understanding that if you're reading Batman anything or watching Batman anything, you kind of expect his ass to show up because that's what it is. That's the fight.
I actually really liked that they went with the legacy thing instead.
Yeah.
Shredder's
just Batman Beyond almost.
Yeah. Almost, yeah, exactly. We're in the future now. It feels very future. Like if we're in the future, we're still fighting Shredder. Then you failed. You failed your entire mission. You failed everything in life. Like,
Dishonor to you, dishonor to your cow. Yeah, bro. No, I totally get it. And yeah, this guy was more insane. And you get this rewarding story. Things come to the end that you perceive that it would come to. Like I said, when it comes to these revenge tales, and then you get this heartwarming afterlife sequence of him seeing his brothers again, him seeing his father figure again. Which was heartwarming because it was drawn in the old style. They got the colors of their bandanas and stuff. That was really, really cool. What did you think of the to be continued? We are raising 4 new turtles revelation.
Nothing ever ends. Right? That's
You learn from Watchmen.
Yeah, that's exactly. Nothing ever ends. The best stories even have a small window open.
Right.
You just want to inspire the reader. Like you want to leave them thinking. You want to maybe
tease the imagination.
Generation. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Spark something. Make someone want to tell their own story. So again, at the end of the story, we're fucking Mikey. Oh, I'm choking on a Jolly Rancher. Lex Luthor was here.
Don't go. Don't do the ritualistic. It's not worth it.
Lex Luthor put a Jolly Rancher in my mouth and he shoved it too far in. Weird. It's really weird. I tasted his finger. I don't know why he did that.
Did a whole speech about God and man. It took about half an hour.
No, there was a scene at the end, where Mikey, he finally does get his revenge and he kills Shredder's grandson. And he's dying, and they do the freaking heartbeat thing.
Yeah.
I was like, here we go. The Dark Knight Returns again.
Yeah.
That, but he didn't come back to life. But that was a big.
No, and lead the underground resistance. Like he's out. It's a wrap.
Yeah, they didn't chicken out, and Frank Miller chickened out. Frank Miller pussed out.
How interesting is the concept of 4 turtles being raised as an homage to 4 turtles?
I mean,
is that viable? Does that work? I'm really being honest.
Part of it is cute. Part of it is really cute.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
It's like we're gonna raise new turtles and we're gonna mutate them, and I'm like, on purpose? Oh, okay, that's a little fucked up, but I mean, I get it.
Kill me. All I feel is pain.
All I can keep thinking is how fucked up it is. Like we just went and bought new turtles. Like,
yeah. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Turtles died, and we
did you just equate Michelangelo to a goldfish? Is that what you're saying?
That's how it feels.
You flushed one down the toilet and went to the store and got another one.
Come on, Casey. Let's go get new turtles. I know how sad you are over Mikey.
Which you just met for like a week. And he was a psychopath. He was just doing. He was a psychopath. He was killing all these people. Yeah, I didn't really have much affection for the underground. The rock bottom is what they called it.
Yeah, the ghetto.
Yeah.
I mean, it served its purpose. It was to establish the way the world worked here.
Yeah,
the resistance lives in the bum ass area of the city. We broke as fuck.
Fighting against.
They weren't fleshed out in any way, so it wasn't like there was no way to feel about them.
No. I love how they had like a whole mission down to a T, and it all came to shit. Like when they're doing it, it's like, don't worry, we got good comms. I can't hear nobody.
This is horrible. We failed.
When you get there, no one will be there. We're surrounded. It's like they kept flashing back to show like no matter what they did, like they were outclassed.
Nothing worked for us. It's good stuff.
My jaw dropped in the initial, when before Stockman blew up the building, when they show all those mousers, when they first sent that fleet of mousers to kill all of them. I'm like, damn, this is how they go. Like, this is like, how do you beat this? And I did not know of this Honeycutt fellow.
Yeah, again another one
Was
of
he
those
not in
things.
the? Was he not in the series?
It's another one of those things. Like I recognized the shape of his face, and I was like, "This looks familiar." And then over my head, I have no clue.
So Professor Honeycutt was a former semi-retired scientist on the planet the Hoonib. It's D apostrophe HOONIB.
The whole nib,
The
the whole,
Hoonib. Professor
the whole nib.
Honeycutt. The Hoonib. Professor Honeycutt was once perhaps a great scientist of the Federation, a human guided system militant government. Despite his affiliation with the Federation, Honeycutt was a peace-loving man who developed his inventions, yada yada yada. I guess he became a robot, like a
At some point, he became a freaking
scientist,
robot.
because he's like sentient. Because he was like telling him, "You shall not pass" and shit. Like at one point, he was, Stockman, and blew him up. He was in the series. He was a robot.
Well, shit, I missed it.
It says Professor Honeycutt was also known as the Fugitoid, and a recurring character in the 2003 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle series.
The
An
Fugitoid.
An alien scientist who had his mind transferred into a robot assistant.
But there you go. I do recognize that face. That's why I was like, I know I've seen this before, but I have no real in-depth knowledge of it.
Because that was one of those reveals, right? At one point, that was one of those endings of a comic where they show his head, and I'm like, I should know what that is. I don't. I'm sorry. It's definitely not my fault.
I'm shocked. I'm also shocked.
This page ended in a shocking manner. I don't know what I'm supposed to be shocked about, but I'm shocked.
I am shocked.
It's happened. Man. Yeah, I really, really dug this series. It's short in the sense that it's 5 episodes, but like we were talking about before, they're all like mega issues. They're all pretty thick issues.
A little thick.
Yeah, I have the hard copy because I hope once I read it to possibly lend it out a couple times. I think that a bunch of people would get a kick out of seeing the Turtles in this way. And I can't help but think that this had to be fun to write, right? Like if you were to create your own series, characters, team, how rewarding must it be to be able to write your own, even fictitious, Elseworld, whatever, cap to your story?
That's gotta be awesome. I came back to write my ending.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Everyone has their ending, you know.
I remember when Tom King wrote his, he was like, I don't give a damn. This is what, you know what I'm saying? In my universe, in my world, in the story that I set up, this is how it ends.
Everyone should have an ending. I mean,
Scott Snyder, right? Scott Snyder wrote his for Batman.
Jeff Johns did his for the Green Lanterns. They just tell your story in the future and don't fucking worry about it.
Yeah.
Frank Miller, the Batman, the Dark Knight Returns.
No, 100%. Yeah.
We would have gotten lucky. We could have seen the end of the DC universe with
you got King, Thor, you got all those, the end, that whole Marvel series with different characters, all the Hulk, Venom, etc.
Twilight of the superheroes. Rest in peace.
Yo, live action. What are we doing? Live action. What? That's what I want. I want to see when they talk about superhero fatigue. I want to see that movie brought up. I want that thing put on center.
You want to fatigue them? Make that thing.
show them what the last avenue that this could take. All this superhero stuff could take.
There's a Lord of the Rings superhero movie just waiting to happen.
Oh my god, absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, I recommend this story. I recommend Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in general. I played Shredder's Revenge that side scroller on the recent systems. I think it's pretty good. The arcade game, like I said, Turtles in Time. People pick it up. Vanilla Ice is in Secrets of the Ooze, and I think it's a ridiculous cameo, but obviously worth your time. Go Ninja, go Ninja, go! I think that's a great moment in turtle history. Yeah, you heard Yogi tell everyone that every other turtle sucks but Mikey. That's what he said. So make sure that any negative make sure any negative contact. 40 years, bro. They are the mid-age Mutant Ninja Turtles right now. That is crazy.
Elderly Ninja Turtles.
The elderly. The my knees hurt Mutant Ninja Turtles. Godly. But I'm glad. Think about it. In any generation we could have grown up with. We grew up in the generation that had Ninja Turtles.
For sure.
That's got to be pretty damn good.
Multiple iterations.
Even that one that met the Power Rangers, which I feel like is the worst version, but I'm happy that it happened.
But there's one that met Batman. There's a group.
Yes, that is. Yep. That was pretty damn good too.
Yep.
Wow, that was good. Did they? I think they met the Power Rangers in comics as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no way this franchise is going anywhere. There's always depths to plunge, and I do think it's interesting that they keep the creators on board for this stuff. You know, it always seems to be a tried and true way to make sure this stuff is successful, but doesn't mean that everyone does it. It's initially like, all the original X-Men films were made under the edict of like, don't you read a fucking comic book, like don't you dare look up what a Wolverine is, like don't you. I'm gonna tell you what it is, and you're gonna act that, and that's what it's gonna be. So yeah, I dig that they still allow the creators to be part of the process, because like you said, this stuff rings of being genuine and not just a what if, like ooh, like we got gosh, what's his name, Punisher, we got Warren Ellis to write Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle story, you know. It didn't feel like that. It didn't feel like they wanted to change the status quo or, you know, be up in your face. It was like, this is the easy to see conclusion. This is when you take the stakes to as far as we take it. If you don't have any kind of familiarity with our stories, and you know the fight that they were fighting, if they were still fighting it and still fighting it from when you remember that they were fighting it, this is where that would be.
I'm looking through the variant covers for this.
There was 71 for the first issue.
Which, first of all,
talk about collectors, right?
But when you do 71 variant covers, you have to start coming up with some really interesting concepts.
I saw what you just said.
Justin Roiland doing a cover for freaking with Kevin Eastman.
They're gonna set that one on fire. That's gotta be the most elusive. They're never gonna print that shit again, so it's gonna be the most.
Is that okay? So it's Roiland's the one that got in trouble?
Yeah, he was.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I should have got one of these.
Yeah, they're not gonna be reprinting that anytime soon. Damn. 71, bro. You could imagine me a collector. 71. Where do you stop at something like that?
When it comes to variant covers and they do stuff like that, like I'll just get the ones that I like. Like I'm looking through these covers.
You're not a completionist?
No, not when it comes to variant covers. Like variant covers, the ultimate. Like if they're trying to get a completionist, and that's like a ripoff, because a lot of the time it's just there's no reason in the world to buy the variant unless you just like the cover. Because if a book shoots up in value, yeah, technically, if it's a rare variant, if it's not like one of 71 regular cover price variants, if if it's the 1 of 25 variant, which you can only get if a shop orders 200 books, you'll only get one for every 25 issues. So they only get 8 of that cover. So then
Right.
that'll be rare, sure. And it's like it might be worth more technically, but nobody's gonna be interested in buying that shit because it's not the iconic regular cover. If it happens to go fucking if it happens to shoot up in value. Like
Right.
the regular cover is the one that catches the eye. That's the one that people always see.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's just got to be like an eBay thing at that point, right? Like, do you want variant cover 53 of Last Ronin? Like, are you specifically looking for that? Because I got
that's
it.
what I'm saying. Like, just get the ones you like. Like, I see there's some of these covers. Eastman did 2 of them that are direct Dark Knight Returns influenced. And I
Really?
would get those 2. I would get both of those. Like, then that's it.
I did like all like the blood red, sun imagery. I did like all that. It just looks badass. Like I said again, it's like the series, the franchise that's grown up with me. It really felt cool to see the aesthetic and be excited about the aesthetic, even when he's we have him mostly without the bandana.
Yeah.
You see him like I don't remember ever seeing the turtles out of their bandanas that long. But he's an old beat up turtle. All that tape his ass had on him at one point.
I actually took it as like an homage to the original stuff where it just didn't have color.
Yeah. And then did the brothers never came back when he told them to leave, did they?
No.
That was pretty big.
Get out of here. I'm fucking cured now.
Yeah, I'm going to dispel all of my PTSD in this moment by declaring it away. But
it's done. I've been there.
Yeah.
Just make it. Just ask it to leave.
You gotta be stern with it, though. Definitely have to be stern with it.
Get out.
But I guess it serves the purpose because he's dead now.
Well, they're waiting for him.
Yeah, he needed to silence them until he was ready to speak to them. While. Yeah, that's what it was. I can't believe I just talked about Michelangelo that way. He needed to silence the voice of his dead turtles before he knew his impending death would bring him back to this is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles people that we're talking about would bring him back there. There have been there's like a mini series or something that spins off of this. Are you aware?
There's a new one that's out, and I don't know if it's a prequel or sequel or both, but I have to check it out. I think it's called The Lost World,
or Jurassic Park,
like that. Something like that. I'm fucking
the lost years.
The Lost Years. It sounds a little prequel-esque.
It is Eastman. It is Michelangelo. Doing his training in Asia.
Oh, is that what it is? Is it juxtaposed with Casey at all?
It does say major characters: April, Casey, Michelangelo.
And
it says Michelangelo flashback only.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, Lost Years introduces a new generation of turtles. Oh, the babies are grown.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What? Oh, I just see it right here. Prepares her young Terrapin students to be the next generation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What? The babies? Making me all excited.
Oh shit! I'm looking at their designs. They look really cool.
What do you look up?
I just looked up the Lost Years, and then the original story from before the book came out dropped in my from IGN. It's got like preview.
Oh, the different body. They got different bodies.
Yeah. There's a thick one.
Wow. Wow. We got new, like, this feels real, like fresh. Like this feels
Yeah. New Turtles from
wow.
Kevin Eastman.
Oh, also, if I you saw them in color?
I didn't.
They different colors.
They have different
Slightly different
colors.
colors. Slightly different colors. One of them is straight up brown.
Oh.
Darker green, lighter green. Um, one is like dyed, has like Mikey's. It's like yellow almost around his eyes, almost like it's a thing.
Oh, I see them. I see them as babies.
Yeah,
They are all different colors.
yeah,
Oh wow.
that's
This
crazy.
is this is great. I can't wait to read this.
Maybe
Look
they
at the
don't need.
baby.
Look at you. Maybe they don't need bandanas now if they're all different colors.
They don't. This one came with built-in bandanas.
Yeah, I like it though. It's like a Navi.
Yeah. One of them is like black and white, like he stepped out of a 1940s film.
Yeah, one of them has like a beak, or it looks like he has a beak. The brown one looks like he has a
he's
beak.
snapping turtle.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wow, so that meant that she wasn't even careful about like
She just went and bought.
she didn't get brothers. Yeah, she didn't get brothers or anything like that. Like
Hey,
together in a clan.
You got 4 turtles or what? You got 4 turtles? I just need 4 turtles.
Oh, I didn't even freaking think about it. It's the cover of one of the things is them all grabbing pizza, and it's all their different hands, the different turtles' hands. But one of the hands is April's hand, so it's a robot hand.
Oh,
yeah, it's sad. Yeah, she's out. She's out there. Damn, yo, she was a news reporter, bro. You understand? That's how she started. She was a news reporter. There's another. Do you think it's easy by looking at those 4 turtles to see what colors they would have been?
What do you mean?
So the new turtles.
Yeah.
Do you think that they'll fall into the same 4 archetypes?
Oh,
Our turtles, and if so, do you think you can tell by looking at them?
I don't think I can just from the picture. I think one of them certainly looks angrier than the other 3, but it could just be the situation, you know.
I would think Mikey's is the little yellow one.
Yeah, he's got the smile going.
Yeah.
The angry black and white one might be Raph.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, this is going to be interesting. I'm just glad that I'm taking a chance. But as we always know, easiest place to take a chance is in the Elseworld story.
Yep.
And you know, where it's like, oh, you guys didn't like that? Well, we're done.
It didn't count.
Yeah, we're done telling that story. So, coincidence. But I highly recommend this series, Last Ronin. I'm going to be following. Gosh, one of the images is Mikey about to commit seppuku.
Oh my god!
You know, just sitting there because it's in the comic. You know, he's sitting there. He says, "I'm sorry, Father, I failed. Please forgive me." The comic is gets a bit dark, but the turtles themselves have always been a beacon of light, at least to me in my childhood. Like I said, again, the movies, the video games, all of that and more. And hopefully, we'll be able to continue this series and possibly even come back around to cover this next chapter in this like last Ronin verse. But the cool thing is, the only way to find out if we do that is you can go to a special place. It's ComicBookClique.com, which has every single episode of the Major Issues podcast. That's over 270 episodes with like 500 hours of content talking about the latest and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. We're also available wherever podcasts are found. That's Podbean, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, the Apple Podcast app, TuneFind, Google Podcasts, all that stuff. Easiest way, Google the Major Issues podcast, and we're the first ones to pop right up because we're always talking about the latest and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. We are at facebook.com/comicbookclick, Instagram at comicbookclick, or you can use the hashtag comicbookclick to shout us out. Stay connected. We're always trying to incorporate our fan base in everything that we do, and we're across those social media channels, constantly updating our schedule for the podcast, putting out the latest bit of news, speculation, and even commenting on current events or putting out some badass or funny comic book panels. So make sure you're following us all over social media. If you want to help us out, consider becoming a Patreon at patreon.com/CBC Clubhouse is the quickest way for us to get your support, because the money goes directly to us, and we try to give you guys a bit of a behind the scenes look at everything that happens with Comic Book Clique. And you can do so for as little as 10 cents a day, $3 a month. If you want to purchase a bit of our merchandise, if you go to comicbookclick.com and hit that shop CBC link, it will take you to our TeePublic store, and we get a kickback from all of that. But at the very least, if you want to help us out, don't have any money, we totally understand that too. Consider rating and reviewing the podcast on iTunes and telling a friend to tell a friend. It's how you will spread the wealth of all this, because I promise you, I've been to the future where we do become the latest and greatest thing to come to comic books, comic book media. It is a twisted future, but if I tell you how we do it, it'll be an even worse future where the last Ronin is played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and nobody wants that. So make sure that you guys are telling a friend to tell a friend, following us everywhere we are. But more important than that, for this specific episode, make sure that you're following our guest, Jonathan Escudero, aka Yogi, at
follow me on fucking follow me on Twitter. Follow the Dirt Sheet Radio Twitter page at Dirt Sheet Radio on Twitter. Find us on Facebook at Dirt Sheet Radio, and you can follow me at Mr. Yogi420 on Twitter. Definitely go listen to the podcast too. Go listen to Dirt Sheet Radio.
Yes, I will link the Dirt Sheet Radio Facebook on this episode. It'll give you all the channels you guys need from there. Again, these guys are juggernauts in the world of professional wrestling. Even regardless, bro, of what Nick Aldis has to say about it, I think that you guys are. I think that you guys are doing an absolute fantastic job, and it's always great to have you sit here and talk. You cheat. Have you cheat on professional wrestling for a bit? You know what I'm saying? Talk comics. You understand? I know comics is you're salacious. The other woman in the room. I get it.
My secret lover.
Your secret lover, but it's always a pleasure to have you on. But my name is George Serrano, aka the Don.
And this is John Escudero, aka Yogi.
And this has been our last Ronin and almost Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles recap, review, and retrospective. And remember, whether you're a mutant, a ninja, or a turtle, whether you think you're cool but rude, or just a party dude, remember that we are the Clique. And always remember that you, yes you, are worthy.